On this episode, when building a custom car, many times it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We're going to show you exactly what we mean by that and how we solve all of the idiosyncrasies in car building. Let's go.
So what we're doing is we're creating this plate to just cover up the bolts, cover up this pocket, and just give it a little bit more of a finished look. So we'll pop rivet it in the back on the lip where the gas tank mounting bracket is at, and then this will come up, and we're going to revise it a little bit and put a little bit of a bend there so we can pop rivet into there, and that'll be it. We'll powder coat it black and install it, and right now we're just going to go over and make the full piece. So let's go get it. So this is the cardboard template I made for that back panel. Just literally went around and measured and cut, just scored it so I didn't cut all the way through so I can get a bend, and came up with this little idea. So it's pretty consistent, as you can see, with what we need to do, with an exception of a few little minor adjustments. Not bad for eyeballing it. Not bad. I'm impressed. You don't want to hit it too hard because you don't want your panel being all warped and everything like that, so that's why you want to work it from one direction to another, back and forth until you get the results you're looking for. All day long. Pretty sure we got it. Happy about that. I'll go test fit it, clean it back up where I need to, and drill a couple holes for mounting purposes and send it to the powder coater. I mean, basically, if I wasn't carrying this, I'd be able to pat myself on the back right now, you know what I mean? Got it all finished up as far as all the bends. Got all the holes drilled. Found center on the bumper, or the chassis rather, and then found center on the plate. And then I went through with my 1/8 inch drill bit and drilled some holes, put some clecos in to hold it in place, just for fitment. We're gonna test fit the bumper and see, make sure everything jives the way it needs to, and then that panel will get sent out to powder coat. We'll build some corner pieces, depending on how it looks, you know, maybe just clean it up a little bit, and that'll be it.
All right, so Brandon got this back panel made. This cover is going to cover up the gas tank bolts and that hole in the back section. It'll make it look a little bit more complete. So right now, all I'm doing to finish it is making the end caps. So obviously this is long, so we're going to cut it in half and do it on both sides, and we're going to cap the ends. And we have it so that the bumper can still be bolted through the panel. So I have a whole access hole here, and then we'll add another one here. We'll weld the pieces together and then weld the side cap to it, and then it'll be riveted on.
All right, we got the bench seat out of the El Camino, and the reason why we pulled it is at the car show it was never actually fully mounted because we had tunneled the center of the floorboard for the drive shaft clearance. Because remember, we put the body on a new chassis, and the design of the body mating to the new chassis, the body sits lower over the chassis. So picture it's like it's channeled over the chassis itself. So the drive shaft was in the way. So we made the tunnel on the drive shaft. That in turn doesn't allow the center of the seat to sit down where it needs to be. So that at the show, the back cushion was actually higher than the package tray. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna pull all of this really nice upholstery off, and we're gonna actually notch the seat itself. And Brandon's gonna cut this all out and then end up making a different spring mounting system just for the center of the seat. And then what we'll do is we're gonna have this re-foamed, so you actually have like little bucket divots here, so it'll be a little bit more comfortable. Right now it's a little too flat and it's a little too boxy. And this is kind of a common thing that these upholstery shops do, because this box right here is the easiest way to upholster something. This is like a couch, but it's too square. So we're gonna kind of change the design a little bit. So let's go check out what Brandon's got going on the seat, and he's gonna fabricate all this up, and then we'll get it back to Al and he'll finish the upholstery and it'll be dialed.
All right, so we removed the upholstery, got the foam off, took the seat out of the car, obviously. I've gone ahead and I've made a template of the center hump in the car. I've notched the frame of the seat, and right now I'm removing the clamps on the torsion bracket so we can raise the center of the seat up a little bit for a couple reasons. One, to give us a little bucket shape in the seat itself, as well as raise the center of the seat so all the work that we did on the notching of the frame doesn't go unused. So right now I'm just gonna put these on the top side, squeeze the spring a little bit, give us a little more clearance, and then start fabbing up the holes in the frame, and we'll get it in there and get it test fitted, and if there's any little minor adjustments we need to do, we'll be able to go ahead and make that happen. But yeah, it's a little easy process, but still requires a lot of work. So we chopped that bracket off because it was going to be a teetering point in our center section of the seat. So now we're going to kind of try to I'm going to grind it up a little bit, cut off these little sharp edges, and then we're going to go ahead and start fabricating our plate to go in here and cover up this gap. Having a clean workstation. And there we go.
So Brandon had the seat modified and did a great job of basically rebuilding these springs. They were in such bad shape. And then we notched the seat, or the actual seat frame like you saw. And now we've test fitted. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower the bracketry on the seat itself 1.25 inches all the way around, so we get that seat lower. So we're gonna make the changes, and then Al should be here in a little bit to verify what our game plan is, and then he'll get the covers and the cushions on this seat, and we should be good to go.
Hi guys, I'm here at Huntington Beach, Mackey's Hard Road, to pick up the El Camino seat. to put in the rod.
If we put one, and your seat looks like that. So in here, and then just the only thing we need to do is first like bend this like let me see something like that. Look at one here and one here. First, just twist this. Believe me, we do that all the time. Or I can do if you want. Okay. I can make this like that without all that stuff. Just here. Okay. I need to, because when we replace this, it's a little bit higher than the rest. So after we put it on, we twist it little by little to make the level. That's why I say, if you want me, I can lower this.
If our upholstery guy needs a custom tool to bend the springs, I'm on it. All right, so Brandon has the seat finished up for the El Camino, and we decided after that to get it over here on the rack and check the tire clearance from what we call lock to lock. So if you turn it all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Now we knew that the lip of the rim and the tire itself was really close to the lip of the fender, but when we got it up on the rack and we compressed the suspension, we realized that there was quite a fat lip here on the original El Camino fender, the design of it. The lip itself is like about an inch wide. So what we decided to do was trim half of the lip away, which is about a half an inch, and that's what I'm holding right here. So Nigel and Brandon were able to get in here with a cutoff wheel and some air and water and keep the panel cool while they trimmed the lip off. And then what you're left with, as you can see, is a little bit of bare metal on, of course, this scrap piece and then also up here. So all we're going to do is brush touch this with a little bit of epoxy and then a little bit of single stage black paint so it's protected from the elements. And now we have another ½ inch of clearance, so when we turn the wheels, we shouldn't have any scrubbing. But we also did notice too that the inner fender well that we had Linexed or undercoated, we also have a little bit of a scrub mark right here. So the rim or the tire itself, when you do a full lock to lock, it does touch the inner fender well a little bit. We're gonna leave that as is right now, because we don't think it's really going to play a big issue with the drivability. But for now, I think this is a huge improvement. We won't be able, we'll be able to hopefully make a 3-point U-turn. There's no way this car is going to make a standard U-turn like a modern car, but a little 3-point turn, and he'll definitely have to go into driveways at an angle as well, just because the car is so low. So there is a little bit of a learning curve when driving this vehicle, but this should help. So next step from here, we're going to do a little modification on the exhaust system, and Nigel's going to weld that up. So let's go check that out.
All right, so we got our modifications all made. We got to cut it over here, change the angle of this one, shorten it. That way we have enough clearance over here so that when it's sitting on the ground and it's bouncing up and down, it's not gonna hit anything. So everything looks great. We're just dry fitting it, and now we're ready to send it off to powder coat.
So we are going to install, basically design, fabricate, and install the transmission cooler lines. Now what these are two lines that are essentially full of oil that cycle from the transmission to an external cooler somewhere to keep the transmission at operating temperature, which is somewhere around 190 degrees. In this particular setup on the El Camino, we've got this big 4L80E transmission with two cooler lines right here. And the way I'm gonna plumb them is right up to the front inside of the radiator. We've got, if you look over here, we've got a cooler that's built into the radiator, which is very common. And we just use these little adapters to a -6. I'm just gonna get my distance made for my lines and kind of route them with just some cheap 3/8 fuel hose, just the cheap stuff. And so I'll take those lengths over to our hose shop, which is Mesa Hose, and they will fabricate the black braided hose with -6 ends. So I'll just show you quickly how I kind of come up with the layout, and then we'll run over and have Mesa Hose show you how they make these cooler hoses. So let's do it. All right, let's head to Mesa Hose.
Yeah, that'll work. That's perfect.
Make sure with him that this is -6. Thankfully, you don't got to worry about clocking. You can just spin them and put them which way you need to. So, yeah.
All right, so we got our lines back from Mesa Hose. As expected, those guys did a great job. So right here, I'm holding the cast aluminum. Essentially, it's a dust cover for the torque converter. So I mentioned earlier that I wanted to drill and tap this cover so we could mount a clamp to this for our line. So I'm going to get this installed. I just sandblasted it, and then we'll send it out for powder coat. But I'm going to install this, and then we'll be able to mock up our lines. All right, I've figured out here how I want to mount the line going from the radiator cooler up to the transmission. And in mounting it, I'm just gonna run a couple little brackets off of the oil pan, because there's actually from the factory little tapped M7 holes right here. And so all I did was machine up a little stainless bung here, and I drilled it, and then I've cut a flat plate. So I'm going to drill a hole in this. I'm going to weld these together, and I'll kind of dress this and clean it up a little bit, give it a little bit of character. And then these are my stainless clamps. Now I get these from a company called Kugel Components. They're actually a local Southern California, started out as a hot rod builder, and Jerry Kugel, and now they make a lot of cool little clamps and chassis and things like that. So I love these clamps. They're stainless. But basically we're just going to run these two like this. So it's going to be the bracket, and it'll mount right in like that. And there's our little bung, our little spacer. So it'll just be that setup, and it's all going to mount nice and sanitary right up here, right on that oil pan. You can kind of see that up there. So let's finish this bracket up, and then you guys can kind of get an idea of what I did and why I did it this way. The other thing too, if you look, I just kind of notched out some of the aluminum rib that was left on the dust cover, so that way I have room to run these lines. They were pushed way out like this, so I just notched out the aluminum, and these lines will just kind of sit right across here, and they'll flow nice and straight right into our transmission. So let's weld up this bracket, and then we'll install it. All right, so here's what we ended up with. This is the bracket, and with the spacer, and then the double clamp. So it's all gonna sit like that, coming off the oil pan. So let's get it up there and get the lines mounted, and then we'll make one more like this, a little bit smaller, for the front half of the oil pan, for those lines to come across. So let's check it out. There's our first clamp in place, and I've got another one. So I've got one here at the rear of the oil pan. I'm going to put one more double-ended clamp like this at the front of the oil pan, and that's going to hold the rest of these lines up here. So this is an inverted flare fitting, right? Inverted flare means that it seals on the surface of the flare of the nut. So if you look in here, the nut or the fitting. So if you look in here, it's got a tapered section inside of that bung on the radiator. If you look right here, right, that is your inverted flare, which meets up with this inverted flare fitting. That is the sealing surface. So because of that, when I thread this in, those two mate together and seal. They make the seal, so you don't need any Teflon tape. I see this time and time and time again on an inverted flare fitting. People put Teflon tape. So just double check your fittings. If it's proper inverted flare and you have the right fitting, no Teflon tape. Okay, I am done. Everything's tight and sanitary and clean. We got our two lines coming out. We got a couple cable ties to keep them together. They come across the front cross member on into my custom bracket that sits off of the front of the oil pan. Then they come across the oil pan into the rear bracket that sits off the oil pan. Then they come across the transmission up into the two ports to feed the oil into the transmission. So quite a task. All in all, believe it or not, that was like a 12-hour job. It's crazy. the magic of YouTube, we're finished, and we're on to the next. Let's go. Well, if you've been following along this build series, you know that we debuted the El Camino at the Grand National Roadster Show about 2 months ago, but there are little finishing odds and ends to wrap this vehicle up. But next episode, we're going to finally drive it on the street down Pacific Coast Highway in beautiful Southern California. So make sure you join us for that episode. Remember, smash that subscribe button. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.